when I was selected to cover the Michael Jackson trial, and I did that for Fox News. I went there with the full belief that Michael Jackson was guilty, that he had been a child molester, that this was yet another example, and that I was going to find the dirt. Interestingly enough, having arrived in Santa Maria with 2,400 other journalists, I was lucky enough to have a seat in the courtroom. Being in the courtroom with Michael every day, I felt like, gee, he doesn't feel to me like there's anything evil or twisted about him. Jay Leno testified basically that the accuser seemed to be shady, that he didn't seem genuine, and he was looking for handouts. Larry King testified that these people are out for money. The trial was ludicrous. And the idea that SNEDDON had such a vendetta, again in my opinion, that he would charge Michael Jackson with the abduction and conspiracy charges in addition to molestation and alcohol and plying the kids with alcohol and all of these other charges, which amounted to 14 counts against Jackson, was proof positive for me later that SNEDDON was out for any kind of blood he could get. If anything could stick. There were a series of accusers, 5 in all, most of whom have been discredited completely, one of whom was Jordy Chandler, who had a settlement of a large sum, about $20 million. Because of that settlement, out of that came a suspicion and a veil of guilt that the public imposed on Jackson. This whole trial against Michael Jackson and calling him a criminal was, in my opinion, a vendetta that was brought about because the prosecutor, Tom SNEDDON, he was unable to bring criminal charges against Jackson when the Chandler incident was reported. And now he had another family of accusers, and even though their background was that they had falsely accused others of sexual molestation, that they had targeted celebrities for money, and even though the accuser was a cancer patient who Michael Jackson helped recover from cancer, SNEDDON decided. In covering Michael Jackson, it allowed me to figure out something about the media. If you're looking for something, you can find it, even if it's not there. The media wanted him convicted in the court of public opinion. The media wanted to see him go to prison. The media had a lot at stake. And they take a position, and you don't realize they're taking a position. And that was the case with Michael Jackson. Had Michael Jackson gone to prison, there would have been a cottage industry in covering suicide watches, family visits, fan visits, prison guards. You could just start to think about all of the hoopla that could have been made on a daily basis about whether Michael Jackson was wearing pajamas or he wasn't, or somebody slipped him something, or he was in the hospital now, or he was on drugs, and Janet went to see him. And I mean, it could go on forever. The trial was ludicrous, and the fact that the media wouldn't let up and that the public never saw the truth was something that I couldn't live with. So I started a process of writing a book, started a proposal, made a few phone calls around to agents and publishers that I know. And this is what I was told. I was told, oh, a positive book about Michael Jackson? No, we don't want it. You want to write a pro-Jackson book? No, we're not doing it. Somebody had to come clean. The trial was over, and nobody cared anymore. Nobody cared. I decided, you know what? Let me go to the courthouse and look at the evidence myself. And so I was able to photograph all the evidence. I was able to look at the evidence, hold the Neverland Valley Ranch guest book, and see how Gavin Arvizo and his brother defaced it. I start looking, and I now look at the police tapes of the Santa Barbara police with the accuser. And I watched it. I watched it again, and I rewound it. I watched it about 4 times. Every time I watched that tape, I would see the police saying to this boy, It's okay. You can tell us what Michael did to you. You can tell us. It's okay. It'll be all right. You tell us what he did to you. He's done this before. We know. They were feeding him lines, and the kid is sitting there, and I don't really know. And it was so mind-boggling. I wish people could see this tape. Those police were leading that kid almost like a script. This was a trial that, in essence, was a life and death situation for Michael Jackson, something from which he may never have recovered. And in fact, let's face it, he didn't recover, because while he was in this very attempt at a comeback, it killed him. Apparently, at his autopsy, it was revealed that Jackson's body was also plagued with bed sores, which allegedly came from the months and months he spent in bed